No one knows what the future holds, but if a new house is in your future, I can help from a safe distance. I'm Nick Acosta, your downtown expert, and I'm hosting safe and sanitary open houses. Nothing is different except for temperature checks at the door and masks are required. But it still smells like there are fresh baked cookies in the oven. So come on by one of my safe and sanitary open houses, and I'll say welcome home from 6 feet away.
This is Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast with your host, Nicholas Acosta. Nick sits down with guests to talk about real estate and how it works. Reach him at downtown.expert on Facebook and Instagram, or his website, www.downtown.expert, or call or text him at 407-508-8809. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, this is Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Acosta. Today's guest is Mayor Rick Kriseman of St. Petersburg, Florida. Mayor Kriseman, thank you for joining me, and I'm honored that you accepted my invitation. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you, Nick. It's great to be on the show with you.
Thank you as well. So, Mr. Mayor, just the first thing I wanted to ask is, as the country is being vaccinated for the pandemic, COVID-19, I first wanted to ask how local transportation is going to improve in the region for Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg in particular.
So we are thankfully the first city in Pinellas County, and actually I think the first in the region, to have a bus rapid transit service that will be starting up in the near future. The construction is underway right now on the stations and laying out the roadway for it. So that certainly is a step in the right direction. I serve on the Tampa Bay Area Regional Transit Authority, or TBARTA, and we are in the middle of a study right now for a regional service that would go from Wesley Chapel in Pasco County to the University of South Florida in Tampa, to downtown Tampa, to the West Shore area, to Carillon, and ultimately to downtown. I think that's a really important connection for us in the Tampa Bay region. And then obviously the next important connection would be into from the Tampa Bay area into Orlando.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome that you guys are doing that, working on that, which brings me to my next question before we get into some questions about development downtown. But are there any plans? I know that there's usually a lot of controversy with this. We've had several attempts on the ballot when it comes to commuter or rail transit. In the long-term future, do you see anything being added, like as terms of in regards to commuter rail to the city that connects us to Tampa?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I think for so many of us in the state of Florida, one of our biggest frustrations was when then Governor Scott turned down the money for the high-speed rail that would have connected Orlando to Tampa. I mean, if for any of us that have ever made that drive, and we know how challenging it is. And, you know, I look back 20 years and the drive that used to take me maybe an hour to an hour and a half now takes me 2.5 to 3 hours if I'm lucky. So I certainly am hoping maybe with President Biden talking about his infrastructure plan, which includes some significant money for transit and transportation, that some of that funding may flow back to the state of Florida. Truthfully, if it does, I hope it doesn't go to the state government, but comes to us on the local level, because we know what to do with it. The state of Florida doesn't seem to know what to do with it. I can tell you that as we rebuild the Howard Franklin Bridge, which is that connector between St. Pete and Tampa, it's being built with future transit in mind. So it will be, from an infrastructure standpoint, built and designed to be able to hold light rail. So we are trying to plan for the future, knowing that we've got to get there to have real significant transit between our communities.
Oh, that's awesome news. And just to let you know, Mr. Mayor, that you have my 100% support on that. I'm very passionate, especially when those things came up in the ballot before for the, transit downtown and all that and rail. And then we have, as you know, St. Pete has a history. I mean, that's how we brought people to the city back in the day. It was a long time ago, was by rail transit. And then and at some point we disconnected from it and then kind of like forgot about our past, about how we became a city with rail. But it would be awesome to see that happen way in the future, hopefully soon. That's awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yes, sir. Me too. All right, Mr. Mayor. And then just wanted to know what's going on. I've lived close to downtown St. Pete. I moved back here from Orlando after leaving for a year and a half in Orlando. But I just came back about 4 weeks ago and moved into St. Pete. And I'm born and raised here. And of course, I've got a history here. My late father was a trauma physician over there at Bayfront Health for 46 years. So I see the development going on downtown, the skyscrapers going up and the cranes. So what does the economic development look like right now in downtown St. Pete, Florida, from what you see?
You know, it's actually pretty encouraging. You know, even in the middle of this pandemic that we find ourselves in, and thankfully, I think we're more on the backside. We're not out of it yet, but at least we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But we're really excited here in St. Pete and optimistic about what the future looks like from an economic development standpoint. You know, I said this to someone I was speaking with yesterday. I think if there's any silver lining at all that we're going to be able to take out of this pandemic, I think it's that we're going to see a lot of folks from the Northeast and from out West, whether it's in California or in Seattle and Portland, that are going to relocate to Florida, and in particular to us here in the Sunshine City. We're already starting to see that. I think we have a great quality of life. It's a very progressive, welcoming, inclusive, diverse community. And so I'm really bullish on what the future economically looks like for us here in St. Petersburg.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, I'm, as you know, in the real estate business, and I've been taking out buyers and working with sellers, and it hasn't slowed down, which is a good thing. And there are actually more houses or more buyers than there are houses available. So during the pandemic, I've seen that we've had a major uptick in real estate activity compared to before the pandemic started or the lockdown started in Florida, for sure. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting looking at the market. I mean, you know, I heard a statistic, and I think it's somewhere around 400 or 430 listings in the entire county. And so you're absolutely right that the supply is far less than what the demand is. And that's why I think it's so important for us to continue to work on developing housing opportunities. And, you know, it's because we're limited on the land we have. That means we're going to end up doing more multifamily in order to create those opportunities.
No, I completely agree. For sure. Yeah. That's what every day I take out any buyers that I have, usually there's about maybe 8 to 10 offers already on the table. It's a lot different than, you know, pre-pandemic, where we had a lot more opportunities for people to buy. But now, yeah, I completely agree. I'd like to see that more of the multifamily developments go in, because ultimately we're going to have no choice, because we have a shortage right now compared to what we had over 2 years ago. So I agree on that. Yeah. All right, Mr. Mayor. So I was going to ask you just a brief economic pulse of the city in general as it stands today, overall, not just including downtown, but St. Pete as an entire city, as you see it right now.
Yeah, so I'm really encouraged, you know, and I know I was talking about how enthusiastic and optimistic we were, you know, but as your question asks, it's not just about downtown. And when I came into office, there's one area in particular that was really struggling, was an area on 34th Street South known as the Skyway Marina District. You know, there was nothing happening there. There were a lot of buildings that sat empty, a lot of, you know, buildings that were getting more and more dilapidated. And where we find it today is there are 4 projects that are underway and under construction, and a tremendous amount of interest in there. At the Ceridian property, they had, I think, somewhere around 150 to 200,000 square feet of available office space, which is now completely leased. And so that really excites me to see, you know, development happening, not just in downtown, which is, you know, traditionally where you see most people want to be, but you're seeing it happen throughout the city. Certainly the Carillon area continues to grow. Jabil has expanded their footprint. Power Design has expanded their footprint. Raymond James has expanded their footprint. That's all out in the Carillon area. And so to me, the beauty is we're seeing this growth happen throughout the city. And, as a mayor, that's what you want. You don't want it all concentrated in one place. You want it to be throughout your entire city so that everyone can benefit from that growth.
No, I couldn't agree more on that. 100% agree on that. Yeah, it's exciting. Like I said, I was born and raised in St. Pete. I was up in the Riviera Bay area is where my father had a house back in the 70s where they had one built. So we grew up on 4th Street. Used to go to the German bakery on 4th Street as a kid on my way to school. And Liberty Baptist is where I went to preschool. And then, of course, Admiral Farragut for high school. And then, of course, University of South Florida, St. Pete downtown, which has significantly changed since I graduated in 2008. They've added so many other buildings, and their footprint downtown continues to grow as well. I'm very impressed and excited. And even that I got to be graduate from there. I know it was 2008, but it's amazing to see what the university has done in the city as far as growth goes for students. Because as you know and remember, USF St. Pete was mostly a commuter school. But now they have residential halls as well as bookstores and things like that, which is significant change. And when I worked downtown at the hospital in 2008, I was able to either ride my bike or walk from the hospital to go to class, which is an amazing thing that you can do in this city. That we have I love it here because you can bike, you can walk. Yes. It's friendly for those. And we have the trails, the Pinellas Trail that connects where the old railroad line used to be. It's just an amazing thing. And actually, we visited in the last week or so, we went to Boyd Hill Nature Preserve. I've been here my whole life. I think I went there for a school field trip when I was younger. And then also, it's amazing, though. We got to see actually some like big alligators back there and some other wildlife. And then what's amazing, too, is that it's an urban wetland. Anybody listening or watching this episode, you could sit there at one part of the park and look towards the skyline, which is amazing. And it looks like the ocean, but it's actually Lake Maggiore. But it's such a huge lake that it just breathtaking. So I really love it here, and it's very peaceful here for sure.
Yeah, it's a real hidden gem in the city, and when you think you're in this urban center, and right in the middle of it is this magnificent, beautiful park and nature preserve. And we're actually expanding some of the features of it. We'll be opening some new campgrounds in the very near future. They've been under construction now for a little while. And so we're continuing to try and add to the amenities that are at Boyd Hill. But it really it's a place that I don't think a lot of people are familiar with. And we certainly want to encourage people to check it out. You will be stunned. And I think you really described it very well.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, it is beautiful. And then you could see some other wildlife. We got to see a couple owls and hawks in there it's just amazing. And I did see, when you mentioned that about the campground, I did see the announcement and like a sign inside the park about that, which I think is awesome, because we were saying, before I saw that sign, I turned to my other half and said, this would be a really cool place to go camping. Like I used to go in Fort DeSoto as a kid with my family in the summers or in the winter time. And then I saw the sign after I said that. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool, because this would be a great place to hang out and camp, because then you get the wildlife experience, but at the same time, you can look over the lake and you can see the skyline of the city. So, which is really awesome for sure.
Yeah. Very unique.
Definitely. All right, sir. And then, so what I always do with all my guests is ask just to share one positive thing with the audience for your own advice that you want to give to the audience that's listening or watching this episode.
So, I think, and I see you got the pier in the background, and I know people oftentimes expect me to talk about the pier, and obviously we're incredibly proud of the pier. It's been everything that we were hoping for and more. I think, but the one thing that I'm really proud of, and it's something that we're continuing to work on, and really it's something as a community that's what it takes to make this change. Is that we've been able to be very strategic in our investments, and we are seeing a reduction in poverty and an increase in opportunity. And that's something that we've really tried to focus on since day one. As we sit here today, Our poverty levels are decreasing faster than the county average, the region average, the state average, and the national average. And in particular, for our African American community, we have one of the lowest poverty rates that we've had in our city's history. And so that's something that I'm really proud of. And so what it really means is that we are creating opportunities here in this community. And so, my message to everyone that's watching this is, if you want to come to a city that is tolerant, that is diverse, that is welcoming, that provides a great quality of life, that's walkable and bikeable, as you were describing, and values everyone and creates opportunity where you can find a job that pays a living wage. Where we welcome entrepreneurs and we support them with various programs at our greenhouse that are all free. St. Pete's the place that you want to be. And we'd love to have you join us as a part of this community.
No, I couldn't agree more. That's just said it spot on, sir. Again, this has been a very big honor of mine. I've seen you out in the community before, and I'm very grateful that I got to interview you today. I'm really thankful for this, and thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you, Mayor Rick Kriseman, City of St. Petersburg. All right, sir, you have a good day, and talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for having me on, Nick, and be safe, and thanks again.
Thank you, sir. Everybody, this has been Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast coming to you from St. Petersburg, Florida, the beautiful pier behind me. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
This has been Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. Find Nick on Facebook and Instagram at downtown.expert, and also his website, www.downtown.expert, or call or text him at 407-508-8809. Thanks for listening.
Don't spend hours or days looking for your new home. Let a downtown Central Florida expert guide you. I'm Nicholas Acosta, and I'm here to welcome you home. Being a Florida native, I know how exciting, stylish, and convenient the downtown lifestyle can be. From the nightlife scene in the heart of downtown to the natural beauty of Florida. I'm Nicholas Acosta, and I'm here to welcome you home.